You do not have to disappear, but you do need to start moving in silence. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the rules to success for me and how I was able to achieve everything that I wanted within 8 months. Let's get started. Number one, I stopped explaining myself. That's just it. I had a aha moment where I realized that I was explaining myself to people who never believed in me or my goals in the first place. And this could be friends, families, exes, whomever. I realized that I was constantly chasing a goalpost that kept moving. And I was exhausted because whenever it didn't work out, whenever, I couldn't meet that expectation that they set, I felt like a failure. And I took that really hard, and they were really hard on me. And it wasn't because, I wasn't good at it. It was because they never believed in me in the first place or what I was trying to do. Or, a lot of times it was because the goals that I was set, they didn't think that I was deserving of them. So I just stopped telling people. I didn't disappear, because oftentimes you would hear, disappear for a while. And that may help. It has helped. There were periods where I just didn't want to deal with people. But the number one thing I did was I just stopped telling people what I wanted to do. And I started doing it. So the only person I had to prove anything to was myself and God. And the one thing is, God gonna believe in you no matter what. So the very first tip I would give you that helped me, that took the pressure off, is I just stopped telling people. I stopped explaining myself to people. And within that, it was also a lot of, I didn't hide what I was doing. So if you came up to me and said, what are you doing? I'd be like, I'm working on Araya, my AI company. Or I'm going to class today. I'm going back to school for my master's. I would tell you. If you didn't want to continue to talk about it, we didn't talk about it. I didn't push the subject. But if I noticed, and this is what happened, that you would come back to me months later, maybe a week or two later. So what are you doing with yourself? Or I would tell you something, and oftentimes it'd be like, so what are you really doing? I would just say, I don't know, figuring it out. And that's the pushback I would get a lot of times, because I would tell people stuff, I'm doing this. And because it didn't fit their ideal, or because it was foreign to them, they just didn't believe it. And so they would come back to me and say, so what are you doing with your life? What are you doing? I'm like, nothing. I'm just figuring it out. That was my answer. And that is my answer for everything. Once I tell you what I'm doing, once, I'm not going to keep telling you. Because I don't ask you, did you go to work today? Did you go to the warehouse today? Did you go to, the hospital today? I didn't ask, and that showed me how people really think. And I understand people are busy and things of that nature, but I think y'all get what I'm trying to say. So that was the first rule. That made it so much easier for me, because now I just do. I literally just do the things that I'm doing. And I'm a lot happier. And honestly, I've been a lot more successful. And there's still people right now that I'll tell them like, I have a meeting with the dean, or, I just got this client. And they're like, what, you did? And I also realized that when you are constantly trying to prove yourself to people or explain yourself to people, that's because you're seeking their validation. And that means that there's something inside of you that is not healed, and you cannot give yourself that validation. And I learned that through therapy. And so when I stopped seeking people's validation, because my therapist taught me the if-or statement, which means two things can be true at once. But anyway, when I stopped seeking their validation, that's when I started looking at myself and my own self-worth and asking myself, am I happy? And we are 10 times harder on ourselves than sometimes, our friends and family. And if I wasn't happy with something, I just changed it. So that's how I got my business started. That's how I signed my government contract. That's how I cleared up a lot of debt. That's just that was the very first rule for success. Stop telling people. You ain't got to quit your job. You ain't got to do none of that. But just start moving in silence. Start doing you. And it only be between you and God. Before we start number 2, I apologize for all the noise. I stay in the country. So there's very little I can do about the 4-wheelers and the dirt bikes. That's just what the boys do out here. So number 2 is realizing people's actual intentions. Realizing how people naturally operate, which is very self-serving. People are very selfish. They only care about fulfilling their own interests. And there's nothing wrong with that. You are like that. I am like that. When it comes down to it, like for this video, how is this video helping me in the long run? Right? How is whatever I'm doing, my job, my, this person I'm dating, how is it benefiting me? It has to be benefiting me emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. People are very selfish, right? But that's all about survival. So when I realized that, I started, especially when it came to the way I interacted with people on a daily basis, first of all, what is their goals? What are they looking to achieve? What is their future desires, right? And if it's something business-wise, how can I align my business to them? Or how am I helping them achieve that? Or what is the presence of, what is my presence doing to help fulfill them? Is it something spiritually? Is it something mentally? Is it something emotionally? Is it financially? And when I actually accepted how people are, including myself, and you too, I was able to come into spaces and be more of an asset. And I'm pretty sure y'all heard that whole thing, asset liability, and I used to hate it, right? But when I realized that sometimes being a vital asset is just being a prayer partner. It's just being someone to talk to. It's just being someone to count on. It doesn't always have to be financial, And what happened was, or quick story, how I ended up getting a meeting with the dean at my community college to get my program accredited was because the advisor saw my relationship with other people. The advisor was apparently watching me, and she said she loved how helpful I was, how, I came into the room, the way I carried myself, the way I spoke. And she was like, and she wanted to know, what did I do for a living? And so I told her about my company. She was like, and literally within 30 minutes, she had a meeting set up with me to meet the dean. It'll be Friday in November. I don't know when you all are watching this video, but so people are very observant. And before a lot of people come up to you or speak to you or interact with you, they want to know how you are going to fulfill their own self-interest. That's just the bottom line. So when I started going into circles and really getting to know people and seeing, could we actually fulfill each other's self-interest in some type of way, and stop looking at that as such a selfish, oh my God, I'm only here because that's survival. It's literally survival. I started making connections, making friends. I started getting business opportunities. My very first client when I left my previous company was word of mouth. Literally, word of mouth. They thought I was a good person. They thought that I did good work. They recommended the client. So that was the second rule. Understand people's actual nature, which is self-interest. They're very selfish. And how can you fulfill whatever self-interest or selfishness that they have? And it's not a bad thing. It is what it is. Number 3, that was a hard one for me. There is mastery in the mistakes and the misery. Hold on, y'all. There's a cat and my dog is right here. Hold on. Okay, like I was saying, there is mastery in your mistakes and honestly in your misery. And the reason why I say that is because I used to be someone that was so afraid to put out content, that was so afraid to promote myself, that was so afraid of just taking a leap of faith of anything, dipping my toe in the water because I felt like I was not good enough. I was so afraid of the world seeing my mistakes. Shoot. Hold on. If y'all could see them right now having a standoff, this cat is really taunting my dog. It's standing right in the middle of the road. I can't show y'all because I'll show y'all my neighborhood, but anyway, I was so afraid of being judged, and I was already hard on myself. So if I made a mistake, I would be like, oh, I'm not ready. And so I wouldn't put anything out. I wouldn't really try to go forth and do anything. But what happened was I actually saw a young lady that started doing her business after me and started making content after me and everything. And her content wasn't, it was great for her, but it wasn't, she would even say it's not perfect. It wasn't perfect. And she made a lot of mistakes, but she surpassed me in her business. She surpassed me with her subscribers and everything. And when I talked to her, she's like, because I just kept putting out content. I didn't stop. You stopped. You will make a mistake at something and you will literally discipline yourself and be so hard on yourself and not knowing that that mistake is actually a learning lesson that you can teach other people. She said, I didn't stop. If I made a bad video, I learned from it. If I, made a mistake with my clients, I learned from it. I did not stop. You will stop and you will start all over. You will go back to the drawing board. Don't nobody got time for that. Like, nobody's going to wait around on you to make sure that something is perfect, because it's not going to be perfect. And so when I had that talk and I had an aha moment, which was, okay, what is the mastery in this? You know, what am I learning, and what can I teach other people? And it honestly turned out to be a lot. So I started looking for the mastery in the mistakes that I made. And when I did that, I had a pivot of a mindset shift. And so now, if I make a mistake, of course, I am going to correct it. But I understand it's literally like AI. It's like testing your own agent. Of course, if you put it in a controlled environment, it's going to be perfect. You're not going to be able to make the tweaks and to figure out how to make it as close to perfect as possible until you actually put it out there and you actually let the public see and you start trying. And so once I had that realization, I tried. I just literally started trying. I started marketing myself. I started talking about my business to, potential clients. I really started trying, and I started fixing my mistakes. And the faster you learn, the faster you make these mistakes, the faster you'll learn, the faster you can achieve your goal. So that is definitely a big secret. Make the mistakes. Make them fast. Because there is mastery in your mistakes. And what you think is a mistake and miserable, there is a learning lesson that someone out there needs to know. So that is tip number 3. All right, so the next tip. Learn to be the solution. When I realized that I could be the solution for a lot of my problems, and I was the solution for a lot of my clients' problems, I was like, what in the world? That right there, a lot of y'all have the solution to people's problems, but you just don't know how to market it. A lot of you have the solution for yourself, but you're listening to negative people. Or you have people around you who honestly benefit from keeping you in this box, right? So you can't actually see your own self-worth and your actual value. But for me, what happened was I was just never satisfied with a lot of results I was getting when it came to things that I desired on social media and for business. And the company I was working for at the time, the clients that I was serving, I was not happy with a lot of their out-of-the-box solutions that I was given to give them. So I had to start customizing and creating my own solutions, which is really how I got into AI and Microsoft Copilot, Power Apps, and how I really started designing websites and just doing marketing, things of that nature, because there was never a perfect or as close to perfect solution for my clients until I had to create one. And I realized that I had a strength in the AI tech side of things in creating solutions when it came for businesses. And I also became a solution for myself when it came to a lot of marketing things and AI technology stuff, right? So I stopped looking. I really did. When it was something that I wanted to do, I would, of course, look at things to be inspiration or just to see if there was something like that done, which 9 times out of 10 there is, because there's nothing really new on the planet ever. But I looked and saw, okay, if they put, A and B together, right? If I added C, how would this look? Would it be the actual perfect solution for my problem? And I realized it was. So a lot of times I would just integrate something that already exists with something that I customize, and it would come up with a perfect solution. So I stopped looking for other companies and other people to solve my problems when it came to my industry. And I started just creating those solutions and meeting people and networking, and that's how I became so successful so fast, because I had customized products and customized results, and I could speak from experience of my mistakes and experience of knowing how to navigate these machines and the algorithm and just technology from the inside out. Because a lot of times you may get something out of the box, right? Let's talk about for example, Microsoft Power Apps. It might come standard, but you really got to go in there and code and customize and things of that nature. You really have to learn the algorithm and the machine behind it. And they can say, oh, it's no coding involved, but y'all, it's just a little bit. Anyway, sorry. I'm saying that to say that I learned to be comfortable with being the solution, and I stopped seeking other people. And that, when I started doing that, y'all, took off. And number 5, it's not too late. I have fallen so many times. I have ended up back at my mom's house, back at my brother's house. I have lost my car, lost my apartment. It is not too late. Please don't think because of the age or the education or because of your background that it's too late for you to start. Something that I learned, and this will be the 5th and final rule: nobody knows but you. Nobody knows. I tell a lot of my friends and my family this. Sorry about that. So I tell a lot of my friends and my family this, especially my family members. Nobody outside this house will know. Nobody knows about your childhood. Nobody knows about what happened at work. Nobody really knows but you. And I remember when I was going through my breakup, and my ex was really regretting his decision that he made. And I said, you want to know the best thing about it? Because he was trying to talk negatively. I said, nobody will know any of that but you, and nobody will care. My clients won't care. My family won't care. Nobody will know but you. Nobody will know what you did. And when I realized that, when I had that aha moment, that epiphany, I stopped carrying so much stuff, because I realized they don't care. My neighbors don't care. My clients don't care. People are very selfish. They don't give. They don't care. So it happened. You made a mistake. You learn from it and move on. Make yourself better. And it's never too late to improve yourself. So those are the 5 rules that help me achieve so much success and will continue to help me achieve success. Y'all will see me making a lot of mistakes. Y'all will honestly, see my successes, see my fails, and I will continue to make videos on them. But I hope this video helped you. So with that being said, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you are interested in learning about the AI and technology industry and becoming the woman behind the machine, the individual behind the machine, or just learning, how to create maybe a different job for yourself. Because email me and I'll be more than happy to just chit chat with you and figure out where you're at so we can help you get to where you're trying to go. With that being said, bye.